In this edition of Southern Newsweek, a serious dairy effluent problem prompts a warning for Southland residents to stay away from a particular stream. Shop owners along an Invercargill street call for safety improvements, but the City Council pushes back. And a former pub's upcoming transformation may suit at least one former regular. Kia ora, I'm Holly Buchanan. Authorities are warning Southlanders to stay away from the Winton stream until further notice. Dairy effluent has polluted a tributary in Benmore, an hour north of Invercargill, and that's now subject to investigation.
The public's being advised not to go near the Winton stream. Environment Southland's determined the level of E. coli in the water to be unsafe for contact, be it with humans, dogs or livestock. This follows a significant amount of dairy effluent dumped into a tributary feeding the Winton stream. The council's looking into how this took place.
There were strict enough regulations, and I don't want to at this stage say it was a careless action. We're not 100% sure of exactly why it happened, and that will be a matter of an ongoing investigation.
Reports of the pollution were released to the public on Friday last week. Environment Southland know which farm the effluent came from, but were unable to release this information to the South today. Tests over the weekend show the situation is improving, but water still needs to be boiled before use of any kind.
E. coli is our major concern for that, and the types of E. coli in dairy shed effluent can be quite harmful to people.
Investigators are looking into how to avoid this from happening. MAP says although it seems dairy pollution is happening all the time, the rates of non-compliance are decreasing. Last year, 4% of Southland dairy farms were significantly non-compliant, and that number's below 2% this year. He says farmers who are caught breaking guidelines can face serious consequences for their actions.
So anybody that breaches a resource consent can find themselves facing anything from a warning, a letter of direction, abatement notice, enforcement order, infringement notice or a prosecution.
MAP says the rainfall today will have helped dilute the damage done, but it will be a while until the public can use this stream again. Ruby Spink, The South Today.
Dunedin authorities are trying to prevent a repeat of last year's severe flooding, which prompted a review of the stormwater system. A new screen has just been installed at the Portobello Road pumping station, and while there's no guarantee it will stop flooding, at least it will ensure the system works at full capacity.
A key part of Dunedin's stormwater system is being upgraded. A new filter screen is being installed by Fulton Hogan at the Portobello Road pumping station. Dunedin City Council Infrastructure Manager Ruth Stokes says it will make the system more efficient.
What we've done here is we've changed the design, which means that the pump station on the other side can work to its capacity, and that, along with a number of other operational changes that we've done to the network, means that the people of Dunedin can be assured that its infrastructure will work the best it possibly can whenever it needs to.
The screen will be cleared every week, and the updated design makes that easier to do. Previously, the screen stood vertically. It now sits at an angle. As water fills the system, it forces debris to the top of the screen, where it can be cleared away. Stokes says this was a necessary change after last year's flooding in South Dunedin.
So this change is one of many that we identified that we could improve after our review of how our infrastructure performed during that event. But yes, that was certainly a catalyst for this change.
When DCC staff looked at causes for the South Dunedin flooding, they identified the Portobello screen blockage as contributing to greater surface water volume. Stokes says while the new design means the pumping station will be operating at maximum capacity, other variables are outside of DCC control.
What this means is that there will be less volume on the surface, but again, it's going to depend on where the rain falls, how fast it falls, all those sorts of variables.
There is also a new concrete and aluminium screen to be installed, as well as a security fence around the chamber. Including design and construction, the project is costing around $310,000. Jack Conroy, The South Today.
Shop owners on an Invercargill street are calling for authorities to make it safer. Centre Street is known for its high volume of crashes and near misses, with a 4-year-old most recently hit. But the Invercargill City Council says it's a matter of personal responsibility.
Since Kat Kemp opened her shop Retro Remix 3 months ago, she's seen at least one crash per month. That's in addition to a near miss almost every day she's been in the store. Last night, a 4-year-old boy was hit by a car while running out of the neighbouring discount store. His injuries were minor, but Kemp says the street is not safe.
It's crazy, you get like hordes of people turning up, but like just because the street is so tiny, you have buses screaming around the corner, cars pulling out, it just gets crazy. Like 3 o'clock in the afternoon, it is just crazy.
She says the main issues include a lack of visibility around the intersection of Pomona and Centre Street. There's also the narrowness of the street and the speeds people are driving at. Kemp says something needs to be done to prevent further accidents.
They need to eliminate the parking on one side of the road and just keep the parking on this side, and possibly put a speed bump in at the corner just to slow that traffic down as they're coming in.
She and the neighbouring shop owners have been in contact with the City Council to try address this problem. The council agrees that something needs to be done and is in the process of looking for solutions. Staff are also investigating ways to control litter in the area, which only has one rubbish bin.
We've talked to the shop owners, we've also done some surveys, and we continue to monitor what needs to be done. In terms of the litter, that we've increased the number of times to sweep the area so that we remove the litter from the curb and channel. We're also looking at perhaps putting some extra litter bins in the park and around the area.
Pearson says council's aware of the issues and concerns, but he says the responsibility doesn't entirely lie with council. People need to take more care when driving or using the area.
A lot of it's up to the drivers to drive to the conditions, be aware that there will be pedestrians in those areas, and take, I guess, consideration of the other road users. At the same time, please don't deposit litter, use litter bins, take it home. We all like to look after our own communities.
Both shop owners and council staff want to see a reduction in accidents and litter. In the meantime, they're urging people to take care. Ruby Spink, The South Today.
Police are investigating a suspected arson at a nudist camp in Southland. The fire destroyed an old church building at Aparima, and with the fire happening shortly before their open day, club members are hoping the blaze won't put a damper on the event.
Char and rubble. That's all that remains of the abandoned Aparima church. The derelict building stood on land owned by the Aparima Naturist Club, also known as Southern Naturally, and the members are gutted.
It was a beautiful church. The windows had already been taken out many years ago, and they were sold, and the lady was meant to take the rest of it away, but never did. It was had Remu, TNG, it's got the coal range, which hopefully we can still use, maybe. No, it was just a lovely building.
The fire's being treated as suspicious. Police and fire investigators were looking at the scene today. Although the building wasn't used by the Naturist Club, members had plans to use parts of it.
I just thought, oh no, not the church, because we were going to destroy it, but take it down and use the iron and some of the timber for new huts and accommodation.
The club is hosting its annual open day this weekend, but Kramer doesn't think the fire will hinder the fun too much. This area is a relaxing escape for club members. She says despite the setback, the club is resilient and will rebuild.
It's just sad. You know, last weekend we were out here, well, last Friday I was out here. Beautiful sunny day like today. Everybody's happy. Today it's a little bit sad. But, you know, you carry on. Carry on. We're a good bunch here and we're strong and we'll keep going. Nothing's going to stop us.
The cause of the fire isn't yet known, but police are calling for anyone who may know anything about what happened to phone them or give an anonymous tip to the Crime Stoppers line. Ruby Spink, The South Today.
The Shield Hill pub in the Dunedin suburb of the same name has been a licensed establishment for more than half a century. It was closed in May last year when the owners decided to sell. The venue was then bought by an Auckland businessman whose plans for a boutique retirement village might suit at least one long-time regular.
Where everybody knows his nickname. The bar at the Shield Hill pub is scheduled to be closed soon, as the site is to morph into an upmarket retirement home. Des Rabbit Burrows began frequenting the Shield Hill bar when he was underage, and fondly remembers one of the reasons he got his nickname.
And someone would know, you know, the police would be coming up, so we'd get wind of it. So my brother and me, we had a hole in the hedge, there was a gap in the hedge you could run through. Used to get through there and get up, and we'd sit on top of the hedge. We were down there and the police were down there with torches looking for us. We were, you know, we were sitting on top of the hedge looking at them. As soon as we saw them going down the road, we just came down and came back into the bar again.
He's just one patron among the establishment's rich history, albeit a long-serving one. However, the bar he and his pals are currently in is about to be refitted as part of a proposed set of boutique retirement units. In July this year, owner Avi Fadida received resource consent to build 25 luxury apartments on the site. Having gained council approval, he says the next stage of the project is finalising the building design and applying for it to be consented. Rabbit says although he's lived in the Waverley and Shield Hill area for most of his adult life, and is at an age where a retirement apartment at his local would be a good prospect, he admits he's not too taken with the idea.
I've been here long enough now, so it's been good, yeah. Made a lot of friends and a lot of mates, and, yeah.
Fadida says he purchased this neighbouring property to aid the consent process, as the development plans include building on what is now the pub's car park. The initial plans say self-contained apartments will be built over 2 stories, and the bar will become a club room for residents. It's due to be finished by this time next year. Daryl Baser, The South Today.
Coming up on Southern Newsweek, another of Dunedin's heritage buildings is revived after more than 2 years of development. And we focus on the Clutha district where the Super Masters Games have been held. After about $2 million and more than 2 years of development, the former Gresham Hotel in Dunedin is almost unrecognisable. While the exterior may look familiar, the building's inside is completely new. And now the developer's casting his eye over the next potential project.
A 2.5-year labour of love. The former Gresham Hotel in central Dunedin has been completely refurbished to house a mix of accommodation units. Developer Steve McKnight says he was drawn to the location and quality of the building.
And probably would like to see it done up, and I always wanted to. And the opportunity came up, and it's a great site for apartments, a great location for commercial, very prominent. So I saw the opportunity to do something with it.
He spent about $2 million on the refit, which has taken just over 2.5 years to date. The finishing touches are being completed over the next few months. And McKnight says the demolition was a painstaking 12-month process, stripping back added layer upon layer to reveal the original structure.
So over the life of the building, 120 years, people continually, every 20-30 years, would redevelop the building and add to it, and add new ceilings and new walls and so on. So it was a matter of getting all that out, and on a very busy corner we had to get the materials down and get them out the door, which is very labour intensive and time consuming.
He says there's nothing like swinging a sledgehammer and getting dirty to bring out his inner child. But dozens of contractors were also employed on the project. McKnight says the layout of the new apartments is in keeping with the building's layout.
Where we've got brick walls, we try and keep them and work within that shell and use the aspects of the building that have significance or are interesting to provide the interest to the apartment.
The former hotel doesn't have a heritage listing. McKnight says as Dunedin's older buildings get more run down, their value tends to become less noticeable. He's got the first tenants moving in and is finishing off the rest of the 8 apartments. The developer's also pondering what the next project will be. Daryl Baser, The South Today.
More than 200 people gathered in the Tokomareiro district at the weekend for an educational celebration. It marked 160 years of education in the area, as well as the 50-year jubilee of 2 schools. And some well-known faces were among the special guests.
TV presenter Samantha Hayes returned to her home district to celebrate 160 years of education in the Tokomairero district. Hi, I'm Samuel White and I'm at Tokomairero High School in Milton, which this weekend played host to a special reunion to celebrate the combined 160 years of education in Milton and the establishment of the local primary school and high school as two separate entities. The two-day event was organised by the local councillor Bruce Vollweiler and included festivities such as a kapahaka performance by the local high school, as well as special guests Samantha Hayes and Sir Richard Hayes. About 260 people registered for the event and travelled from as far as Australia. Many fond memories were shared by the well-known and former teacher Elizabeth Jack.
He said, well, Liz, if you will stay for 25 years in one place and a lot of that at the one school, that's the price you pay. The trouble is, it looks as if I'm still paying that price, only it's double the number of years.
The commemorative cake was cut by another former teacher, Melva Bradshaw, and the newest and youngest pupil, Liv Schiller. Other events over the weekend included a formal dinner, barbecue, and special photographs taken to mark the occasion. Samuel White for The South Today.
The 20th annual Supermasters Games was held in the Balclutha War Memorial Hall recently. More than 100 senior citizens from Clutha District rest homes and clubs participated in the friendly competition. Otago Daily Times reporter Samuel White went along.
Hand netball was just one of 5 sports that brought together South Otago's older and wiser generation. Hi, I'm Samuel White and I'm at the Clutha District Supermasters Games in Balclutha. Events today consisted of skittles and twister throw in what is supposed to be the district's own version of the Olympics for senior citizens.
We hear from the carers, they go home from here and they talk about it for weeks and weeks, who did best on which job and who got a medal, and they look forward to it for months beforehand.
Clutha District Mayor Brian Cadogan opened the event along with South Otago High School head pupils Ashton Terrell and Sophie Mills. The event is in its 20th year and is intended to be a light-hearted and fun competition for the older folk.
Yeah, it was devised purely and simply to give the old folks a day out.
I'm Samuel White for The South Today.
Budding Dunedin photographers are about to embark on a project to record a moment in the city's history. The Otago Polytechnic students are going to capture one day in the life of Dunedin starting at midnight, and their images might be archived for generations to come.
An alternative take on a time capsule. Otago Polytechnic photography students are preparing to capture present-day Dunedin for a project with a historic twist. It's been inspired by the work of a man living in the city decades ago.
Over 150 years ago, a man called Daniel Mundi took some photos of Princess Street at that time, and he walked down one side, photographed the opposite side, and having done that, then turned around and repeated the procedure.
Those images are now in Toitū Otago Settlers Museum. Gable says the students are excited about producing something similar for future generations. Just over 20 budding photographers will be involved, busily capturing as much as they can during a day within their assigned task areas.
We're trying to give a sort of well-rounded portrait of the city, I suppose. So we've thought about the subject matter that might include. So things like transport, health, education, people at work, retailing, all sorts of different aspects of our city.
It's the 4th year this has been done at the Polytechnic, but the first time students are being assessed on their involvement. Gable says it's a good learning opportunity.
We really like the idea of taking photos that don't normally get taken. I mean, in the course of any one day in New Zealand, there's perhaps millions of photos taken, but there's a lot of photos that aren't taken, and those photos are typically of the kind of mundane, the sort of detail that we take for granted.
He says as the archived photographs age, they'll acquire new meaning and significance. Participating student Bindi Leach is excited about going into the bottling plant at Emerson's Brewery and showcasing lesser-known parts of Dunedin. She's planning to photograph about 50 different places and hopes to gain some valuable skills in the process.
I like talking to people, so just that, meeting new people that don't often get to be involved in things like this because people aren't aware of them, so just new contacts really will be really good.
The 24-hour project begins at midnight, and the final images will be showcased at Toitū. Jack Conroy, The South Today.
After the break on Southern Newsweek, we meet the artist whose lifelong passion for plastic is on display for all to see. And we find out what a silent disco is and how it's helping university students relieve exam stress. Welcome back. A Dunedin man has taken the top prize in the country's most prestigious singles lawn bowling tournament. It's his third win in the event, a feat only achieved by two others in the contest's 26-year history. The winner says it wasn't easy, but the thrill of victory never wears off.
Monday marked the end of the 26th Speight's North East Valley 10,000. The final came down to a playoff between Dunedin's Mike Kernahan and Jamie Hill from Auckland. Kernahan won the match 25-15. This is his third time winning the event, and he says the thrill never gets old.
Oh, no, always happy when you have a win, aren't you? So, no, great field, good weekend. Guys are really good to play with and against, and so, yeah, no, obviously delighted to come away with a win.
The bowlers were roughly even for the first half of the match, with scores of 8-8 by the 11th end. Kernahan then broke away, creating a comfortable lead, which he held to the finish. While he won by a large margin, he says he never took his lead for granted.
He's a really good player, so it was always going to be tough, and he's been drawing really well over the course of the last 3 days, so I just had to make sure that I got as many close as I could, which is stating the obvious, I know, but that's the name of the game, and hopefully I got more close than needed.
It was a home win, with Kernahan a long-time member of the North East Valley Bowling Club. The Speight-sponsored event has the most prize money for a bowls tournament run by a club in New Zealand. All up, $16,000 were at stake, with Kernahan claiming the winner's purse of $5,300. Now he's preparing for the World Bowls in November.
So I'm playing pairs with Shannon, the fella there, and the fours with Ali Forsyth, who I played in the semi-final. So looking forward to that. You know, we're in with a shout, I guess. Anyone's in with a shout when you get to that level, and just put my head down and try hard.
Hill, the Auckland runner-up, won $2,700 after beating 20-year-old Dunedin player Keanu Darby in the semi-final. Jack Conroy, The South Today.
A Dunedin artist has opened an installation showcasing the many and varied qualities of plastic. Housed at the Otago Pioneer Women's Memorial Hall, it charts the uses of the substance by early settlers up to the modern day. And for the artists, it's a continuation of a lifelong passion.
A unique art installation has opened at the Otago Pioneer Women's Memorial Hall. It celebrates the history of plastic, beginning with its role in the lives of settlers. The artist is a lifelong plastic collector and is wanting to share its versatility.
I've always been interested in historical pieces, and so we've just picked out individual items to show the changes in plastic and the changes of design and what they've been used for.
The installation is made up of hundreds of plastic items, big and small, protected behind glass. DeWatt says this is a mere skim of the items she has, with a much larger collection kept in storage. She's lived in a number of countries during her career, where she would trawl second-hand shops and even skips to find rare items.
So it's actually very hard to get a lot of the items that I've got. Yes, I've just bought it, borrowed it, and scrounged it.
The installation is set up like a museum exhibition, moving through the ages of plastic. It starts with natural plastics like horn and ivory, and moves through casein, Bakelite, all the way to modern synthetic plastics. For DeWatt, her collections are a continuation of a family tradition.
I lived in a house where if you went away, you had to come back with a salt and pepper shaker for, to show your holiday where you've been. And after a while, I quite liked the plastic ones. And then I would add a cup and a saucer to it, and it just grew topsy from there.
The installation is on for 2 more weeks, and DeWatt hopes many others get to see and enjoy the wonders of plastic as she has. Jack Conroy, The South Today.
And finally, Dunedin tertiary students are getting the opportunity to dance the exam blues away. Volunteers from the University of Otago are visiting study areas, encouraging students to take part in a silent disco. And it's all about reducing stress.
Otago University students are enjoying their own private parties on campus. Uni crew volunteers are putting on a silent disco service to help with exam stress. Representative Sian Watts says a 5-minute break is often all it takes to make a difference.
Obviously it's exam time, so there's a lot of stressed out students running around campus, so we thought we'd just remind them that all it takes is a short break to alleviate some of that anxiety and stress that comes with exams.
The dancers are each given a set of wireless headphones with music controlled by an impromptu DJ. They then have around 5 minutes to dance away their stress with other silent partygoers in the main library on campus. Watts says those who come off the sidelines to take part are also having a good time.
The students who braved the silent dancing really had a good time, just cutting loose and shaking a leg. So yeah, definitely lots of laughter and smiles on people's faces as they were getting their groove on.
The idea was inspired by the silent disco party held on Vogel Street earlier this year. This is the second time uni crew members have brought music to students, and they're planning more. The organisation runs a number of volunteering events throughout the year, helping students to get the most out of their time at university.
We're the group that puts on the Dunedin Sleep Out. When we recently did the Brock Party, where we took a busload of students up to Brockville for a day of community volunteer activities. So we're very much about creating that opportunity for students to connect with the community and the city that they call home for 3 to 5 years.
Watts says Uni Crew also turns its focus outside New Zealand. Members are already making preparations for Christmas, with a number of hampers being created for children in developing countries. Jack Conroy, The South Today.
And that's all for this edition of Southern Newsweek. You can see more of Southern News by following us on Facebook, YouTube and Twitter, or via our website channel39.co.nz. I'm Holly Buchanan. Thanks for watching.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.